Yeah. Yeah. Memories. Memories.
Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you and me. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. 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 I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you and me. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. 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 I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall.
Our inside here, you get an insight and you know something, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
crazy, Malin. I'm not crazy, Malin. I've just been in a very bad mood for 40 years. 40 years.
Carpe diem. Carpe diem.
Sitting in a 4v3.
Everfrog Esports trying to find an angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. Whoa. See White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick on the Leaky. You're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Blue manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Welcome everybody, we are back here with some CGL EU playoffs. We are here in the lower bracket final between Zero Recall and Bliss Excelsior. The loser here goes home and their playoff run is done. We are here to bring you these two teams, and of course, this has been quite a series of contrasts here in terms of the Grand Masters Finals run. All these matches so far, Hunter Tane, have been 3-0 situations.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most shocking thing in the world in these situations, mainly because these teams are very familiar with each other. There wasn't a ton of teams from the very beginning, so they all got to play each other multiple times, and that was kind of accelerated going into the playoffs. So these 3-0s, it's not the most unexpected thing in the world to happen, but at this stage of the game, obviously, these teams got to figure out, because this is the losers final. The winner of this is got to go on to face DYS budget approved in the finals, but hey, we got to get that sorted out in time. But we have other teams, Rags, that are still having to get their own spots in the Grand Finals. One of those happening later on tonight. Of course, you have Wawa Gaming taking on Diamond Eagles. That is going to be an amazing game, a late game at that. So we'll get there when we get there. But for the time being, 2 extremely important games today.
Yeah, no question there. The winner gets to move on to the grand finals, and the loser is well and truly done with their season. Just looking exactly at how we got to this point, again, not a massive terms of amount of rosters here in this bracket, but both of these teams have lost to the current leading team, DYS budget approved. They're both sent down to the lower bracket in equal turns. So this is really determining who is going to face up again against the dominant team right now, and already having won in such a strong fashion. I mean, even if you come out of this one the victor, you still have such a slog ahead of you in the grand finals.
Oh, an absolute slog in front of you. You got to be able to take the time, figure it out. Obviously, these teams going at each other. The last time I believe they went at each other ended up being a week 6 encounter, which unfortunately didn't end up actually happening. It is an unfortunate forfeit, but hey, guess what? Like I said, they played each other multiple times. It goes back even further. Bliss Excelsior took that game in 3-0 fashion, so we'll see whether or not repeat of history happens here. But hey, what's important is that Zero Recall is coming off of a win right now. Bliss Excelsior is a team that has to bounce back from that loss to DYS budget approved. It's not going to be easy by any means for the squad here, but they have momentum on their side, and that might just be enough to get through.
Here's hoping and fingers crossed for them. They both have so much to prove here. In our first map of the series, folks, we do already know where we are going. And I know I'll be very shocked, but it's Lijiang Tower here. So, of course, we are going to well-tread territory here. It's just a question of exactly how these teams want to approach it, compositionally speaking. It's always a joy when they get to bring a very spicy ban in this early round here. I'm not exactly expecting that coming out the gate here. Your very classic Lucio Kiri backline has kind of been just the way these things shake out here. Really looking at the tank and damage roll to see exactly what angle we're hoping to ban out for opposition here with the Zero Recall. Want to get a handle on this. Of course, Zarya Reaper still so dominant here on Lijiang Tower specifically, but of course on control more generally, and even honestly in the broader game here. So plenty of room to get that off the table, but Tracer has still plenty of mobility, plenty of utility here. So it's really just kind of a question of which angle is your preferred and trying to sweep your foe's legs out from under them this early on.
Exactly. But Tracer ends up being the one here, which we have seen the Tracer ban come out a fair amount, despite the fact that mid-season patch wasn't necessarily kind to the Tracer, but still, we are still seeing it be played rather consistently, banned rather consistently on top of that. Another character that I was going to bring up as we're going to get the next pick figured out here momentarily is I've seen Lucio banned like the last 2 or 3 times in a row that I have seen a Lijiang Tower map. And for some teams, it becomes a bit of a struggle because for a lot of comps, it is the linchpin. It's like, yeah, you could swap to Juno and you could still run speed compositions, but it's not the same. You know, that beat, it can be life-saving, especially if you're running into something, you know, like our Amatra or Zarya, where if you're caught in that ult and you are low on damage, there is essentially nothing you can do about in that situation right there. So I imagine a big support category, but at the very least, I think this will be a relatively safe pick for Excelsior.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love seeing a Lucio ban on these control maps. It really shows the team's got a very strong sense, and here we are. Yep, good call. It is Bliss Excelsior banning out the Lucio. All right, so expect their backline to have some different tools at their disposal. That Kiri Wuyong is still in a very good spot. And of course, we've seen a bit of Brig Juno, not as common on control as other map types, but still a possibility here. But yeah, without having that speed boost available to you, you're either reliant solely on that Juno, but again, as you said, that's not really the most reliable. It doesn't have that most consistent speed boost the way that Lucio does. So you're looking to play a composition that isn't so reliant on that, or you're just hoping direly to slow down your opponent because you know you can't match them for speed.
Yeah, no, 100%. So we'll have to see both teams kind of adjust a little bit. You might have to slow down a little bit if you are Zero Recall, but this screams for Bliss Excelsior that they are a team that is willing to flex around, that is comfortable doing multiple things, not just doing this straight rush down your throat style that we have seen a lot in these situations. But we're familiar with both of these teams already. We've seen them already compete in the playoffs, and now it is do or die time. But like I said, Rags, let's take a look at these squads here. Zero Recall, this team that has come in here, they get a big win against the EMC squad in that first round of the lower bracket. Now they're here to make it happen. You have Mio and C4 Oreo on the DPS. One of my favorite names, by the way, to Pack-a-Punch on tank, and then Vega and Mei Mei on support. And while it's not the most successful regular season, the important part is they have gotten here they have pushed themselves, they have fought for it, and now this is potentially their biggest test in some time, and this is a capable squad that could get the job done.
Yeah, well, looking at the other side of things here, they have quite a roadblock to overcome on the other side of things. Bliss Excelsior, we have for your DPS line, Carlos and Percy right now hovering that Tracer, so certainly not going to be available to you this first one. Power for your tank, Ich bin online, and Tarkalon here for your supports, rounding things out here. The Wuyong, I'm kind of expecting to see, at least from one of these teams coming in here, alongside that Kiriko, can still have so much great utility for your team, even lacking this speed boost, still has a bunch of versatility, and especially that ultimate, that Tidal Blast going on to someone like, I don't know, for example, say a Hazard or a Genji, anything at all that can dominate on the front line onto your opponent's squishier targets can easily be a fight decider and a round decider at the right moment.
Yeah, it 100% can be. We'll see how much that utility is going to come through. We have seen that Wuyong be used a pretty fair amount here, especially when you go to these compositions where, again, the Lucio is taken out, they tend to slow things down more than anything else and lead towards that Wuyong and kind of just adjust from there. But we'll figure out in a moment what the situation is going to be as we're ready to head into our first map of the series, Lijiang Tower. Both these squads more than ready to go here as we're getting everything squared away. But I mean, you say it yourself in the situation. These bans, they are extremely important. I have seen bans that I think have make or break a lot of the games we have had here in the playoffs. Sometimes we look at a ban and it's like, that doesn't seem quite right. And unfortunately, Rags, it just doesn't work out in their favor.
Yeah, it is really crucial to have a strong ban out the gate here. I mean, Control does play its own game, essentially. A lot of other map types have a very different sort of look in terms of your ideal compositions, but you can run things here that you're not going to run for much of the rest of the series here, unless, of course, you go to Flashpoint, which does have a lot of similarities here. But yeah, getting a strong ban out the gate, you really want to deprive your opponent of their most viable tools, which, again, is why I love seeing a Lucio ban here at the very start of things. I think it's such a great way to slow down the game and play things at a speed you're more comfortable with. It's just such a thing that so many teams rely on, and it's just kind of a de facto pick here for your support line that anytime it is banned, as we've been seeing recently, I think is a really strong indication that a team has a very good read on their opposition here, which again is just the most important thing at the gate here. These teams know each other so well. We mentioned it earlier. They've been playing against each other. They have only so many to work with in their bracket, so having that read is a massive leg up, and of course has led to all these 3-0s so consistently through this playoffs bracket here. So we'll see if history repeats itself, or if we have a closer match between these two with as much VOD as they have on each other.
Yeah, I mean, you said it before, it is that 3-0 result, not just from all of the games here in the playoffs so far, but also their last encounter back in that Week 4 matchup. Like you said, went to Bliss Excelsior in 3-0 fashion, but this is an opportunity for Zero Recall to show how much they have grown since having that opportunity to face Excelsior. They're able to come in here, get off to a really strong start, and carry that momentum forward. We see some teams that this is what they do. They come out here on Control, they go absolutely ham, and they cannot be stopped. They gain this train of momentum, and they roll forward. We'll see whether or not that's going to be the case here as Night Market is going to get us started. And now, while the Lucio is taken out, Juno available, Symmetra available as well. So you're likely to see both of these teams TP out very quickly. Maybe swap something like the Genji, Soj, and try to get off to a quick start.
Yeah, right now, of course, we're still in spawn, so none of this is set in stone here, but hovering right now the Malga for 2-Pack-a-Punch, and potentially that Junker Queen on the side of Power. Bliss Excelsior looking like they want to run this. Shadow on this Sojourn, I think, is very likely to be the case here. Sojourn really solid here on really much any map type the further we get into this, but yes, that is a double teleport coming out of spawn, both Percy and Choreo letting that out the gate here, and yet we're sticking with the Malga on the side of Zero Recall, whereas Power here is on the Ramatra instead. I do like this choice. Percy here with this Pharah in the skies. That's going to be really tough for anyone except Mio, essentially, to deal with here for Zero Recall. Choreo, of course, on that Reaper. So much close range damage here, front-loaded with that Malga and Reaper together. Vega Meme running that Wuyong Kiri backline, and on the other side, it is the Iyari for Tark, and Ichbin is here on the Wuyong as well. But yeah, Power just eating so much damage. The Ramatra just has such a tough time into both these overwhelming overwhelming pressures, the dual rock in a hard place of that Mauga alongside the Reaper. Not a lot you can do but hold those arms and pray you stay alive. And so yeah, we have the supports for Bliss Excelsior around the backline. Igpin does get a kill, so Mio taken out here. This is not done just yet, but a massive wave coming through, cleaning up, but not getting a kill finish onto it. Shadow does fall as Tupacca still holding so much pressure here. Power back on a Mauga of his own is trying to maintain some presence around the back end of the objective. They all have to be very conscious here. No Lucio boost, but this Pharah in the sky is more than eager to find a concussive blast onto the opposition here. And Bliss Excelsior, they come back around in this comp switch and they force their opponents off.
Yeah, they 100% do, and now they're going to go really aggressive with the tidal wave, wasting no time! And Tobacco Punch is going to be deleted.
Yeah, Percy going ahead with that barrage. Excellent usage there. Just a single target cleaning up. That is a perfect utilized barrage. Built up solid quickly as well, has to be said. So Mio falling off the edge and Power cleaning up Mei. That's a good win again for Bliss Excelsior.
Yeah, late kill over there. As well in a C4 Oreo to kind of take a bit of a reset here, but you're coming up on some really good ultimates. If you are Bliss Excelsior, you can pretty much use whatever you want in this situation right here. Obviously, you got to be careful of Mei having that cleanse here when it comes to that Captive Sun, but if I'm Power, I'm more than willing to be aggressive here. Go for this cage fight very aggressively around the corner because they aren't giving Zero Recall a chance to really even get out of here, but finally, they're going to back up, take the reset, and now we should see some forced ultimates.
Power's hungry for that cage match. You can see it. Finds one target and locks in. Finds two. In fact, they opt into it. You do have Tupacca Punch and Choreo immediately blasted down. No way at all to stand up into that. The Captive Sun rolling. You've got a Skybound Tark here over the objective, and that is a nice cleanup for Bliss Excelsior. Spent heavy in that fight. That is 3 ults utilized, but Zero Recall crucially spent a couple of their own.
No, 100% they did, and to be fair, you can't be mad in that situation. If you are Bliss Excelsior, you basically trade out. You're still going to have Shadow who's going to be able to pop off big time, but Tobacco Punch is going to be the biggest worry here, and the thing is, you're going to have to be aggressive here momentarily and get in here, because First Eye is going to have this barrage, and if that barrage ends up being paired with Tobacco Punch's own cage fight, this could be difficult.
Yeah, there we go, rolling through as the charge, the stomp comes out. Power just trying to stay alive, takes so much damage. Choreo kind of uncontested here. Once you have Percy still rotating around the far side, the barrage cleans up Tupacca Punch, but we're already losing 2 on the side of Bliss Excelsior. The point flipped for Zero Recall. It looks as though they'll be able to clean up this engagement and finally start building some percentage of their own, and not a moment too soon.
Yeah, and First Eye wants to be able to get out of there alive. Does get rid of Mei as well. No mega health back at the availability, but should be able to still sustain, but is being caught out. Burning away, doesn't get the heals in time, so Rags, that is going to be a lot longer of a reset, and with us at 60+% building up the way the ultimates they are here, we are already coming up on Final Fight territory. This could end very quickly if Shadow just comes out here, gets the overclock rocking and rolling, and finds a good headshot to get things rolling.
Yeah, so you had to go fast for Zero Recall, and they do just that, but Percy is there cleaning up. Choreo falls before you can even get a chance to look at that Pharah. Power taking out the opposite into Tupacca Punch. Shadow just getting healed up here, but yeah, losing down those most important damage-dealing members of the opposing side. You've got to count on that for the flip here. As the Captive Sun just trying to stop the approach. Is anyone going to be able to touch the objective here? Mio falling to the sun, and that is going to be it. No chance at all to get a toe in time. And that is a solid first point here. Certainly a close one once we had that recontest, but yeah, Bliss Excelsior looking comfy cozy once they got themselves set up.
100% they did, and you saw eventually get towards the end there, instead of engaging the 3v3, they simply pushed their way over to the point, and at that stage of the game, if you're tracking, you know Shadow's going to have the overclock. You're not going to be able to burn through power in that scenario. You pretty much have to surrender the point and just focus on having to retake during one more. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work out, but that was more of a situation of being between a rock and a hard place. But you go on the situation, Mei currently opting towards the Baptiste, now Vega as well on the Juno to speed them out here. I think they want to try to get to this point a little faster, and if they are able to kind of settle themselves like they did before, they could get off to a really good start.
Bap William, I like this into what Bliss Excelsior is running. You need some long-range pressure, but you don't want to sacrifice that front line ability that Choreo has, and of course Mio launching those rail shots in. I mean, Mauga essentially free build charge for the rail gun of Sojourn. So you certainly want to have access to that and allowing the Baptiste to pressure out that high flying Pharah here. And so we have to still be very conscious of this high ground. Still plenty of potential to get shoved off if you're not too careful from this far. And on the objective, yep, that's two on fire Maugas shooting at each other. Nothing else I would expect from these two on the front line here. But it is the kills coming through for Zero Recall. However, trades are happening. Trades are still very much on the board, and that is 2 for 2. We are losing 3 here on the side of Bliss Excelsior, but still fighting this one out. Only power left on the objective as Mio is falling down. Vega burning to a crisp as Power is able to finish off that Wuyong. I mean, when the dust settles, it is just Power left on the objective, but finally, you do have that recontest coming through from Zero Recall, just so longly contested here that you don't get a chance to really build up that capture progress. Still, no one has taken this initial point, and everyone back in the engagement already. That Cardiac Overdrive finally burns out here for both of these Maugas, and it is the recontest from Bliss Excelsior. Bin with that wave really cleaning up to pack a punch. That's got to spell the retreat here for Zero Recall. I don't know if they're going to get a chance to even contest any further without that Mauga, who does not get back to point quick. Finally, first cap here. What feels like 10 minutes into this encounter.
Hey, pretty close to it. I'm going to be honest after all that, and now Ultimates are going to be a big show here in the next fight. Bliss Excelsior basically going to have all 5 at the ready in the situation, but unfortunately for Zero Recall, they're coming up closer and closer. But they have the ability to take their time. But right now, Rex, they are engaging very quickly as Captive Sun gonna get us started.
They are. Love this aggression out with that Tidal Blast. Not able to find any knockdown effect from it, but still allowing that sustain onto your Mauga, who then takes so much damage for his trouble. I mean, talk about getting deleted. Percy is so solid with these barrages here, and never in too much danger, crucially. Not getting sent back to spawn once so far in this map after pressing Q. Very much the Pharah diff right now.
Oh, absolutely, and now you go out of that fight. You did invest 3 ultimates, but you got 2 out of Zero Recall. You can't be too mad, all things considered, and now you don't have to worry about a cage fight, which means Choreo and Mio aren't going to have the best of luck combining their ults into that. So I think this is going to be Mei having to open things up with that Ant Matrix, kind of get the door rolling, but for the time being, they are going to struggle to get in here, because again, Ichiban has that tidal wave ready to go, and it was effective last time. I think it'd be very effective once more as Zero Recall taking their sweet time, but Shadow goes down first.
Yeah, and Tupac Punch just eating so much damage on the approach here. Such a tough time even getting present on the objective, and that is Ikbin cleaning up that Mauga. So despite losing your Sojourn early, there is no reason for Bliss Excelsior to leave the objective as long as theirs is still in the game. Power still a distance away from this cage fight, but with as close as we are to finishing this round, you might not even need it.
Yeah, I mean, they are pressed up. Someone's got to force their way on here, and it's going to have to be Choreo at this stage. That is the one person that can touch definitively and not die immediately. You're going to see the touch come through, immediately going to see that chase come alive, and they're going to have to force their way on.
Tidal Blast out from Ikbin. Vega about to have one online. Gets stunned up. No chance to build on that Tidal Blast. A crucial shutdown onto the backline of Zero Recall. And it is all over but the crying, as the remaining ults are just what you needed for Bliss Excelsior. Incredible timing, incredible positioning all the way through. Kind of, you know, playing the same map in different locations here. Night Market into Gardens, both looking beautiful here for the team in red. And Percy, yeah, a well-deserved play of the game. That is map 1 going the way of Bliss Excelsior.
Yeah, and it's a great display by them. Obviously very back and forth to get things rolling, but once they clamped down on this point, they've really clamped down. It was hard to really do anything if you were Zero Recall. They definitely have their moments of brilliance. You look over here at Night Market more than anything else. Mio was getting a ton done on the scene on that Sojourn and on that Freya as well. But you have moments like these right here where you go in and it is just perfect timing by Percy coming through and just attempting to delete to back a punch every single time, because every barrage basically solo halted away to back a punch that situation. It's hard to really do anything in that scenario to kind of prevent it from happening. But at the end of the day, this was just Bliss Excelsior doing what they do best, winning a lot of the investments of the ultimates. Remember, if we had a high investment fight of ultimates, pretty much every single time, Bliss Excelsior ended up taking that away, and this just goes to show how strong they've been the entire season.
Yeah, honestly, compositionally speaking, I liked what Zero Recall were rolling out with. I think they had some good answers to Bliss Excelsior, but their aggression was just met by better positioning and better tempo being taken every single time here, unfortunately. You know, a couple fight wins certainly going their way, but nowhere near enough to build even a single point off of. I mean, they had a good recontest there on Night Market, but once the point was in control on Gardens, there was really nothing to do to dislodge Bliss Excelsior there. I was loving those aggressive Mauga Tidal Blast plays, but both of these compositions are essentially all in. They are very aggressive, very greedy backlines too while you're at it. Both the Iari and the BAP, they do demand a lot of damage out from those particular heroes, so still plenty of healing being gained from both of them, but you really have to be playing on all cylinders here, and it just felt like both the aerial superiority that Percy was able to bring to the game, and that very consistent, like the pylon of course is getting so much healing, but also tons of damage out there from that Iari really cannot be counted out, and those Tidal Blasts just seemed that little bit more effective on the side of Bliss Excelsior.
Yeah, definitely was the case here, but I mean, the bright side if you are Zero Recall here, this means I think you have a plethora of option when it comes to bans, when it comes to map selection. Being in that second map is kind of the best opportunity to have complete freedom when it comes to the bans. The map pool is completely opened up. You've only banned out 2 characters so far, and hey, if you're your own team, technically you can still select literally anything. Maybe you go and you target Percy and get rid of that fire, or maybe you decide, hey, we don't want to do the Malga 1v1 anymore. Let's force it to something different, see what happens. We'll figure out what that case will be there pretty shortly. But of course, Zero Recall does get to focus on our second map selection as well. And like I said, the door is wide open. Teams tend to prefer to go to like the usuals of like Sarabasa, Kings Row, etc., etc. But if I do that, I don't know if I want to go in with that Malga v Malga situation where it just felt like consistently Power was getting the upper hand.
Yeah, it was just very difficult to really find that value once, I mean, Power was just able to lock down, whether it was with the cage fight or on the back of having that Pharah addition to your frontline composition there. I really liked the degree to which that Reaper of Choreo alongside that Malga was able to pressure out Power, but it just felt like you were eating so much damage on the approach that you really couldn't find any of those inroads you need to actually get those fights running in your favor there. So I agree. I don't think the Malga Mirror is, especially considering all the utility and clear comfort picks that Bliss Excelsior have available to them, I don't think you favor yourself in the long run in that mirror. So maybe opting into something that does not either play very much to a Malga strength. Like I think you might not want to take it to push if you're still trying to. If you don't want to ban the Malga, I would say avoid push. But if you do want to ban the Malga, I think going somewhere like push or even like Flashpoint might be a solid way to get a first map on the board and try and even things out and stabilize the ship before we end up in a bit of a 2-0 scenario here.
Yeah, 100%, but there's also a better way to avoid the Malga. It is to go to a map where the Malga is seemingly useless, and that's going to be the case with Watchpoint Gibraltar. Obviously, it still has some level of utility when you get to third point, but obviously it's important to get through those first 2 more than anything else. This is going to open up the door to dive things like the Hazard, like the Diva, Winston, even Ball in some situations. But more than anything, right, it is going to give these DPS a better chance to really open things up, because Mio was doing a lot during that previous round. Imagine how much they might be able to do if the map opens up like this, where you can keep going out with the Soldier, maybe with the Ashe, Cassidy, Widow, Hanzo. There are endless possibilities. So if Mio gets something rocking and rolling, it might be really difficult to shut down.
Yeah, honestly, even a Freya pick I think would go very well here. You're generally going to be running these tanks unless you are running that Diva, who don't have a lot of defensive potential to their name. They can't really do much against mitigating incredible long range, especially altitude-based damage there. So something like that Freya could do very well. And again, even if you are trying to run the Pharah, going somewhere like Gibraltar is great because you're kind of expecting to see these long-range hit scan potentials coming out from the opposition here. So a lot easier to clip the wings than it is in sort of the frenetic chaos that you have on Control. So a good choice here, I think, from Zero Recall and banning that Sojourn. All right, so yeah, despite Mio having a good shot at it, I think you were kind of seeing a bit more value being gained on the other side of things. So I think that's not a bad ban whatsoever. Here, you're already kind of assuming the map bans Maug. I think you're absolutely right, Entertain. I think that's a good ban, a good read, at least, in terms of getting out your pain points, your difficult mirrors. So yeah, whether you're going to play into the Hazard yourself or the D.Va, I think that's kind of one of those two is what I expect absolutely the most here. Although we have seen some teams get a little bit weirder with it. There's still room to run something alongside, like maybe even the Zarya is a possibility here. I would not expect to see Maug out from anybody, honestly. That would be a very strange choice. But nope, the Winston ban for Bliss Excelsior.
Yeah, it's not too much of a shocker at the end of the day. You kind of alluded that it could be something like the D.Va ban, which if we see a D.Va ban, that's usually because a team wants to opt for something like a Winston, but it's pretty much going to be the opposite case here where, hey, that Winston finds a lot of inherent value. It's one of the most aggressive dive tanks that you have that can get away with a lot of different things, so I don't mind that being taken out here. Of course, that means the support category is wide open, so teams may opt for something like the Ana Brig. That's still pretty relevant somehow in 2025. Kiri Lucio still used a lot, and there's honestly a lot of combinations that have come to the forefront this year that have been used more and more and more. But we'll see what the situation is, as Phantom has come in on the support line to aid a little bit here. And we'll see what kind of difference that makes. But I would imagine coming out here in the situation, for me, this screams Ana Brig.
Yeah, if this is your best Ana player, certainly Gibraltar is where you want to bring him in. So yeah, Ana Brig kind of feels like it is going to be the go-to here. If for some reason that is not where you're most comfortable, there's certainly a bit of latitude to be gained from an Ana Kiriko, but I think those two of Brig and Ana just run so well together in terms of playing bodyguard for each other, and that's exactly what we're looking at here so far. Tobacco Bunch is going to be on that Hazard. Currently my favorite choice into dive, especially as you have that versatility, sort of striding the line between dive and brawl in situations here, whereas Mio here all in on the Widowmaker for the defense, and Choreo rounding things out on that Tracer. Such a classic Gibraltar pick.
And 100% it is. I'm loving seeing the Widowmaker out here, but of course Percy is hoping to just TP the Ana Brig across the way, get them in a safe position. Power might just be doing the classic one hooks and swap back. We saw that a lot back in the day. I haven't seen it in a very long time. More so, I haven't seen it work in a very long time, and it's looking like it's not going to. We'll see whether or not a swap come through here. But Percy, most interestingly, Percy is staying over on the Symmetra, and they're just going to be storming the high grounds like it's the beaches of Normandy and trying to go aggressive up here.
Yep, Power sticking on the hog, and maybe not for too much longer, as you just eat every bit of CC that Zero Recall have at their disposal, and Choreo is getting the finishing blow on that one. So yeah, a strong first engagement, but not a successful one. Power swapping to the D.Va instead.
Yeah, it really was the beaches of Normandy on that one, as, yeah, D.Va swap I think is really nice here. You're able to kind of have that extra bit of care down below. Shadow's going to have a little extra health, but Percy over on that Bastion as well is going to struggle because that Anti-Nade comes out, and that's what's going to happen right there. You're going to get aggressed on very easily. Pack Punch can't find a finish, though, so it's just going to back up, take a minute, relax a little bit. They are in no rush. As long as they keep contesting that cart down below, they are in no critical strains whatsoever. But if you're Percy, apparently trying to hunt down.
Yeah, having a really tough time on the high ground, has to fall all the way down to low, as of course that Jagged Blade coming out from the Hazard. There's just little you can do in the face of the incredible aggression and distance gained from that leap coming out. And so yeah, Percy having such a tough time, still building a decent amount of ult charge. Yeah, I think the Hanzo swap is the choice here. Really playing all these off DPS picks. I'm loving the diversity of the hero pool, but need to find something and stick on it.
Yeah, it would be nice. Bright side is that this card still has made some very fair progress so far. Mio trying to find some shots. Phantom and Tobacco Punch do get hit with that Anti-Nade. Will be able to survive a little while longer, but they have given up a significant amount of that room. Basically, all of that high ground. But for Mio, it's not a big issue. Still has really good sight lanes as Percy has gone down early.
Percy having a really tough time and the offense here on Gibraltar as Choreo is able to get the better of their opposite in Shadow. really finding a massive stall potential here on once the payload's gotten through the car wash here. This is really where the defense can finally light things up. That's kind of the most difficult point to actually defend. But now you've got that high ground available to you all the way through here. Power just trying to layer in some damage and pressure out Pack-a-Punch here. As Mio once again finding the distant pick onto Percy, letting the sights roll, pulse bomb out from Shadow. Gets some damage, but does not get the kill. Crucially, that was probably your best chance at pressuring out Mio's positioning here. On the low ground, not your best place here, but still with so much chaos happening in this server side room, there's still so much room to work with here. Shadow cleaning up Vega. Yeah, that Brig, once the shield is gone, not a lot of room to work with here. Percy and Shadow combining for a couple kills here, but Mio is still uncontested, unchallenged, killing that Tracer, trying to harass that backline. Massive anti-nade does pressure out Pack-a-Punch, so you're going to have a more distance gained here for Bliss Excelsior as they're coming into the final stages of point A. Moving on to recontest, but Mio shield bashed into oblivion. The rally rolling from the Brig. This might be just enough to roll things here, but no one's pushing the cart. Finally, some pressure being gained once again. Pack-a-Punch is back in the fight, but hacked up. I mean, that is just, again, eating every bit of CC the opponent has to throw at you. Slept on the cart, no trouble at all for Power.
Yeah, and Goryo's gonna die late here. I mean, to be fair, it doesn't matter too much. Everybody has to run out of the though, since nobody got the respawns coming through there. Everyone just kind of backed off. But hey, everyone's still chilling. We're alive. Vega is gonna have the rally up here, but Percy over on the Sombra is gonna be a huge issue. That means every single going to back a bunch of sides to aggress. It's pretty much gonna be a life or death situation every time. It's already difficult enough to go into an on a Brig, but Shadow goes down as Percy again going on the hunt.
Yeah, Phantom has been really good at shutting down this backline aggression coming in from the opposition here. Bliss Excelsior having a really tough time at chasing and harassing down the supports here. Again, having that Brig Ana, they play so well to each other's strengths, of course, allowing and covering for their weaknesses. Another Infrasight rolling here from Mio, so bit of a pause in hostilities except for on the cart itself. Have to be so careful here. Vega with that rally knows exactly when the go button is, and that is a DMAC onto Power, cleaning up that baby Diva. I mean, that is another fight win here for Zero Recall. Really good positioning out from them. Solid expenditure of just that rally here.
Yep, Shadow does go down there, but Percy is kind of hanging around as well, getting a bit of care. Unfortunately, might not get out of there, but somehow is able to slip directly past Pack-a-Punch there. We'll be able to reset, but EMP is on the line right here. This could be just as simple as Percy and Shadow kind of combining together, EMPing this backline. There's not a whole lot they can do about it here, so I imagine they're waiting for the right moment to pounce here, but Choreo already has to recall, already rough scenario, and this is prime EMP time!
Yep, that's a brutal scenario to find yourself in. The Pulse Bomb cleans up Ikbin, so that is down your Brig here, and what, we have a bunch of damage coming through. A Zero Recall holding strong in the defense here. Mio back on the Cassidy, a really solid swap here in these close quarters, but gets slept out. I mean, this is a brutal situation to find yourself in. That is an Ana going hunting and coming up big. Nano onto Power. That Diva surging forward over your backline is everything that Pack-a-Punch can do just to stay alive here. Is able to do so. I mean, I don't even know how. That Inspire healing is doing so much work, but unfortunately no one is on the cart. That is a point B cap here for Bliss Excelsior, and not a moment too soon as we have just over 2.5 minutes to push into C.
Yeah, and that's such an amazing slate there from Tarka in that situation. If that slate doesn't come through, honestly, I think Zero Recall have a really good chance of holding on to that, but unfortunately Mio taken out. Mio having been a fixture so far for this squad. As Corey and Shadow have been having these 1v1s very consistently throughout, it's really gone both ways, but unfortunately, rough situation for Pack-a-Punch, who was literally surrounded for a moment there, somehow gets out with his life intact. As Bliss Excelsior, plenty of ultimates on the table. Zero Recall need a big fight win here.
Yeah, Percy's hacks are largely reserved for that tank, but you'd love to take Choreo down any chance you get here. Vega has this rally ready to go. Might be just the defensive tool necessary, but the self-destruct over the top cleans out to Pack-a-Punch. I mean, that is the most value you can possibly hope for coming out from a very aggressive Diva Bomb. Phantom and Choreo, I mean, obliterated together in each other's arms here as Mio is just trying to hold things down from the spawn doors. At this point, the cart is already rolling into point C with very little being done to stop it here. Rally ready for Ikbin, and that is just the thing to hold the door. The Deadeye, however, out from Mio is enough to clean up that rally and Brig, so this might be the moment. Yeah, knows exactly where Shadow is. And that Tracer not getting away from this Cassidy. I love the work being put in by Mio here on this defense. Almost single-handedly keeping them alive in this fight.
Yep, and a little bit of staggering here at the end on the Tark. Will eventually get the job done. But a minute left on the board here. Nano available. Downpour here as well with the pulse bomb. You have a lot of amazing things to work with in this last minute. The problem is Percy kind of has the giant win button on his side right now, and this EMP could be the difference between a completion and being held at the very end. It needs to be big, but Percy right now gets taken out super early.
I mean, you've essentially got to put the brakes on this fight here and now. If you lose people, if you keep getting trickle kills, if they get staggers onto Bliss Excelsior, that's just going to drain the timer further and further. We're down to 30 seconds here on your push. This Nano is ready. The EMP is ready. Bliss Excelsior need to find their exact angle, or this is going to slip out of their grasp here. That is an early downpour. I love the aggression here from Zero Recall as Two-Pack-a-Punch goes ahead and lands directly on top of Tark, who has the Nano rolling. Power ready and willing here with that damage. Percy goes down with EMP available. I mean, that's gotta spell such a doom bell being rung here for Bliss Excelsior. Zero Recall cleaning up. The Diva Bomb comes out, but no kills gained for it. Mio does roll with that Deadeye, trying to find the pressure at the last minute there. It is just power on the objective as Ikbin rolling through on the Lucio, but that is a touch. Oh, hang on here. We've got the kills coming through. Bliss Excelsior are back in this fight. The DMEC is not enough as Percy cleans up. The EMP finally utilized here. Incredible stall potential here on the objective as Bliss Excelsior still have the bodies alive to push this one into third. I can't believe what we just witnessed. What an incredible sustain on the cart. I mean, the handoffs, the baton was being traded one by one for those remaining members of Bliss Excelsior. Incredible push into third. Full cap here for the offense.
Yeah, I think that might just come down to an unfortunate misuse of the limited ults you had there at the very end. I think if you get rid of power right there, I think there's no chance at a contention coming through there. But Bliss Excelsior, power manages the hold, everybody gets back. Percy eventually is able to make the most out of that EMP and make something magical happen. And again, that sleep is so game-breaking right there being taken out in that situation. And you look at the situation, you really think Zero Recall is going to hold on right here. You know, you get the trade out, you lose your Tracer, that's a big stall tool. Your Diva is basically confirmed to get hit with that Deadeye, but unfortunately, it just gets blocked out at the last second, stays alive long enough for the rest of the squad to come in. And now we have to see if there's any adjustment here for Zero Recall, who, mind you, honestly, didn't play a bad round whatsoever. They did what they needed to do, but there were a couple of key fights that ended up losing out on at the very end. And at the end of the day, you're going to see, honestly, not any adjustment whatsoever. They're confident that this can get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, I like Bliss Excelsior sticking with this on their defense. Zero Recall still hovering this at the gate. We'll see if Mio sticks with that Widowmaker. Of course, you're really only going to have a lot of success in targeting your support line here. Percy and Shadow both just so slippery, but Mio, of course, has proved more than equal to the task of headshotting a Tracer in close quarters. So, if anyone can do it, I fully believe it is Mio here. Two-Pack-a-Punch on the high ground, trying to pressure as those antis layered on each tank respectively. But Percy finding the better of Choreo early on. Yeah, that is, you're going to have to get up pretty early to find the better of Percy on this Sombra here. Just such a flexible DPS line here between Percy and Shadow as Power is trying to hold down control over the Snissel Bridge, but that is a kill onto Shadow. Again, Mio has the potential, has the aura, has the ability to clean up those Tracers when they should be one of the most difficult targets.
Yeah, should be, but Vega's now gone down, and you're going to knock power out of mech, which means you pretty much have this underpass secured. You could stall if you want if you're Percy, but it is stall at the end of the day. Perfect sleep on Ichiban, and they're going to get rolling forward, and they do it much quicker than Bliss Excelsior meant to. But again, I mean, Percy is getting away with so much right consistently, and this Sombra has been a crux for them ever since Percy made that swamp.
Yeah, truly a thorn in their side all the way through here, and this is kind of the difficult spot in terms of, you know, making your push through. So you really want to find yourself through the little card wash section here. Choreo, however, finding that Tracer duel better of the opposition. Already in for sights rolling here. Mio has got the read, the drop on everything that Bliss Excelsior is running for a few more moments here. So much damage, so much work being put in here from Mio on this Widowmaker. Plenty of value being gained. Two-Pack-a-Punch in close quarters with Tark and Shadow, however, it is finding that that trade. These Tracers really are having quite the duel here in the back rooms of Gibraltar. But already the cart is pushing into point A. There is very little they can do to actually contest this one here. Power is trying to eat up all the damage coming in, but there's so many angles you have to watch from here, and that D.Va can't do much against the jagged wall and that blade. That is brutal, seems. I mean, the D.Va bomb in response. Power has truly proven that this D.Va can really do anything. The D.Va bombs coming out are just so consistent. I mean, finding kills at this level is incredible. So much value being gained. But that nano on, or rather the rally rolling here from Vega, you're really finding so much work being done. It looks at the end of the day, that is going to be a point A claim for the offense, and in good time, no less.
Yeah, and Shadow's still caught way in the backline right now. Should be able to at least kind of hang around right now. And obviously, it's going to be a lot easier for First Stage to be able to engage with this EMP later on because, I mean, you can literally see, I literally see both of them back there right now waiting for their opportunity. They go for the assassination on Mio, and this fight is essentially already cooked, honestly. It might only be a 5v4, but they are set up for failure.
Yeah, you're relying on Mio for so much of your long-range pressure, and it is the swap now from the Cassidy a little bit earlier this time, but I like this decision out here from Mio. Zero Recall really need to have a lot more frontline pressure here, and this is just a brutal place to find yourself. Vega, you have my sympathies. Power more than happy to devour the opposing Brigitte.
Yeah, and that works out beautifully right there for Bliss Excelsior, and the fact they don't even have to use the EMP either means they get another chance this fight around. Shadow is found out pretty quickly there as just waiting for a correct...
Pack-a-Punch diving in, and that sleep, massive work there as Choreo does take so much damage, of course, having to be getting slept out near the corridors. A very dangerous place to find yourself, and that is going to be Bliss Excelsior again, still having control here of these doorways. I mean, that's kind of the main way of holding. This is a lot closer of a hold than we got to see on Zero Recall's defense.
Oh, a lot better. And now you're in the situation where Shadow gets slept, manages to stay alive though, didn't have the proper follow-up to kind of pursue that sleep, and now EMP's here, and it's gonna be massive.
Yeah, that is just an incredible amount of damage, deleting the backline as Phantom and Vega both say goodbye for a few moments longer. Mio, yeah, you gotta know you're not long for this world there. Maybe hoping for a cheeky D-Mech, but it is not to be, and you just have Choreo trying to find some more pressure on that high ground, but yeah, you have to GG reset here for the offense.
At 100% you've got to, but hey, still 2 minutes on the clock here. Been at a standstill, but you still have a plethora of ultimates right around the corner here. But Bliss Excelsior is at the same exact point right now, just minus that EMP, and the support line, untouchable as Power, is going to go all in on the back line.
Yeah, that is coming through with that nano onto that D.Va. However, being anteed up does mean you don't have a lot of work. Shadow with the pulse bomb. I mean, you could not expect better value out here from that ultimate. Tracer doing so much damage onto your opposition. Once again, stuffing this fight before it well and truly kicks off. And we burned another minute off the clock.
Yeah, and the ace is starting to get a little worrisome right now. If you are Zero Recall, you had a really good start, had a ton of momentum, and now that high ground is just obliterating you right here. Unfortunately, it really is just Phantom and Vega getting caught out in these situations. It's not really on their fault either. They're just getting caught like this. These situations right here, but it's a great sleep to save them for the moment.
Yeah, really solid, just halting Power in his tracks for a few moments longer here, but threading the needle with these Bionades here. I mean, you just have to be so conscious of Tark here on that high ground, and that is once again Vega being pressured out, but finally the rest of the team this time is coming to the rescue. Wow. Kill does land, but Power is able to get that Brig kill before, unfortunately, you take down the opposing tank. So you may have won that battle, but kind of lost the war here as you're down a couple more bodies on the side of Zero Recall, and with Shadow finishing off to pack a punch, we're down to 30 seconds for this offense, and Mio gets cleaned up yet again. I mean, and they're coming to this fight nearly dry.
Yeah, I mean, you're coming up on a couple of ultimates. Like, this pulse bomb could be really big, but Excelsior have the entire bank in their hands right now. Phantom is going to be able to stay alive momentarily, but, I mean, Percy's getting closer to the EMP. The EMP might not even really be needed right here. If Shadow goes in here and hits a good pulse bomb on this backline, there is not you can do about it, but it's their last opportunity, Rags, to see if they can strike.
Corio had to burn the recall there just as we're getting started. Pulse Bomb stick! I mean, who's gonna do it but Shadow? Cleans up the backline. Venom already taken care of. It's Vega hacked out. No chance to use the rally. Crucial timing out here from Percy. That Sombra's been paying dividends here. It turns out if it's just as good on offense as it is on defense. Bliss Excelsior, despite a pretty quick point A take for their opponents, really double down on the defense in point B, and they will go up in the series 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing these flashes of brilliance coming through, but just this utter combination that means Zero Recall is just struggling to go up against. Double Pulse Bomb to finish it out. And you see this from the very beginning that, hey, they go like, hey, let's try power on this. Just doesn't work. Whatever. You take the reset, and it took a long time for Percy to figure out what was going to work. I think jump between like 3 or 4 different heroes before finally settling on that Sombra, and then, I mean, Bliss Excelsior never looked back after that point. Those EMPs were so consistent. Percy was constantly in that backline, helping out Shadow when it came to getting rid of Phantom and Vega. And without Phantom and Vega, I mean, Mio and Corio are in such rough opposition to the point where, unfortunately, without that help from your backline, it's really difficult to do about anything. As, I mean, a good performance overall from all the supports, but, I mean, these DPS have to be called out here.
Yeah, without question here. Tons of hero plays from Zero Recall, but Bliss Excelsior kind of on a different level here. It feels very much like Lijiang Tower in that you're not seeing a ton of mistakes from Zero Recall. It's just that Bliss Excelsior are finding that extra gear to work with here. That late game stick on to the Ana. I mean, you had to know it was over from that point alone. Shadow finding tons of value. I mean, both between the Diva Bombs and the Pulse Bombs from the Tracer, so much burst damage coming through, and an excellent positioning here from the offense coming out of Bliss Excelsior. Really looking kind of unstoppable at this point. Despite those moments where they slowed down, they still managed to get back up. But folks, we're going to throw it to a quick break here. It's been a couple maps, and there is potentially only one more to go. This is now the chance for Zero Recall to find themselves. They need to reverse sweep this if they want to have a chance of carrying on here. Or are we going to see Bliss Excelsior shut this one out 3-0? We'll find out in just a few moments. Welcome back, folks. We are here with the third map in our series. We are in the lower bracket finals between Zero Recall and Bliss Excelsior here in our bracket here for Grandmasters. It's such a difficult position to be in for these teams, both really up against it, but one is very much in control of their fates here. Bliss Excelsior up 2 maps to Zero Recall's 0 appropriately here, and they need to take this one here, Hunter Tane, or that is it for their season.
Yeah, it 100% is, and hey, life on the line here, still time to bounce back. Obviously that time is now extremely limited, but they have come through off of that victory off of the AMC squad. They need to come in here and try to figure out what was it we did during that game that we need to replicate here. Obviously it is a tougher squad with Bliss Excelsior, but you have to find those little bits of success and amplify them, build off of them. And I think they found points that they definitely liked back on that Gibraltar, but part of it is really struggling of going in on the defense, because we saw them, they're able to hold down points really well, but it's really engaging into them where we see that this team is really suffering and not able to get out the gates the way that you would really hope they'd be able to.
Yeah, I mean, there was plenty of solid moments there. I mean, Mio finding tons of picks on that Widowmaker is not something you're going to unfortunately be able to count on for a lot of the other maps in this pool here, especially when you think of our different map types. Escort is kind of your best bet for a lot of these crazy long sight lines, certainly potential on some of these hybrid maps here, but that was really, your brilliance is coming from these incredible plays coming out from your players, these hero plays, essentially here. Whereas on the side of Bliss Excelsior, theirs just kind of seem to be a bit more consistent, a bit more on the level with the rest of their team here, whether it is those incredible Bionades setting up the DPS, or the DPS themselves just hunting down the back lines at every possible angle, or if it's Power just doing Power things and launching in a Diva Bomb or running roughshod over the opposition. It feels like Bliss Excelsior very much have the confidence in their favor. Coming into this one, they made it a little bit further in the upper bracket than did their opposition, so maybe they're counting on that to carry them forward here, but they're clearly feeling themselves so far. So yeah, once again, it is Zero Recall's chance to take us to a map of their choosing. And it looks as though we have figured out exactly where we're going, folks. It is New Junk City, Flashpoint.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't mind this at the end of the day. You tried the dive experiment, it clearly just didn't work that well. You saw how well Bliss Excelsior thrived off of the Tracer on a break lineup. Obviously don't want to deal with that anymore. You go to New Junk City, that on a break is going to become pretty much flatline in that situation. These teams are going to opt to play fast, and considering the list was already banned earlier on, it's very doubtful we'll see one here as well. But I do still think there are plenty of options for Zero Recall in terms of these bans and how they want to shut things down. Obviously, that Tracer and that Sombra have been really difficult to deal with already, but banning out that Sombra now, I don't think I would want to do so. I know this is your tournament life on the line right here, but it is a pick that you're going to want down the line if it's map 4 or map 5 territory. You'll get there when you get there, but so far they have been going after that DPS category, but they can't ban out that Tracer, already banned out in that first map. And honestly, I could see this going a couple of different ways. Again, the Malga was a big hindrance in the 1v1. You could try to get rid of this backline a little bit as well. There's definitely a couple places you could go. That Wuyong was honestly really effective from the side of their opposition as well. So I think there are some really good options here. But Zarya.
Okay, interesting ban decision here from Zero Recall. We haven't seen Zarya so far this series. She can, of course, be fully unleashed on these Flashpoint maps, but that could easily be a tank protection ban if you want to keep one of these back in the fight here. But if I, however, am going to be Bliss Excelsior, I think I would love to get rid of that Reaper. That was such a linchpin of the composition on Control, and as we kind of talk about so often here, Control plays closest to what Flashpoint kind of ends up shaking out to be. So getting one of these heavy hitters out of your opponent's hand is certainly where I would like to see them take things here. Now, of course, just because one ban was had on a hero does not mean you cannot also ban out that hero. If you wanted to ban out the Sojourn once again, Mio was looking really solid. We called it out a few times on Lijiang Tower. You might just want to double ban the Sojourn 2 maps in a row here. But yeah, they're instead going for the BAP ban. All right. Wouldn't have precisely expected to see that here, but again, that has fit what we've seen from Zero Recall so far, so at least on Lijiang Tower, if that's anything to go by.
Yeah, 100%, and obviously, I think the Baptiste can have a lot of inherent value. It can work really well with something like the Mauga, like the Ramatra. I think the Kiriko can be just as helpful in these situations. Really just depends how fast you're trying to go. And the fact that Kiriko and that Lucio are going to be available, we could very well see that from both sides here today. But we're going to see Phantom staying in over on the side. And hey, at the end of the day, this is what you want to do. You think this is the fight that's going to get the job done. You stick with it. You make it happen. But as we're ready to head into New Junk City, we'll see what both teams want to come out with right here. And again, you saw the way the Mauga earlier. It wouldn't surprise me if right out the gate here they decided to go down a different route.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Ana here on Flashpoint would surprise me a bit if that is what Phantom is in here to stick with. Of course, Flashpoint relies so heavily on your mobility, your ability to, get around from point to point, but also re-aggress from your spawn doors and not be caught out by these backline harassers here. Tracer is in this map, which does mean that is something you're concerned about. Both Choreo and Shadow here already on that pick. Power hovering the Wrecking Ball. We'll see if this sticks coming out of the gate. But Tark here on this Iyari, I actually would not be surprised if that sticks as well. We saw that coming out from him on the first map in the series. This Iyari Wuyong backline, I mean, they made it work. I've not seen a ton of this, in competitive play here, but it looked really good for them on Lijiang Tower, so why not give it a shot at the gate? It is the Ana Lucio here. Vega on Lucio is not a surprise whatsoever. Vega well known for that Lucio pick, but yeah, Mio here on the Sojourn compared to Percy's Cassidy and Power on the Queen, whereas Tobacco Punch on that Mauga.
Yeah, and Excelsior, despite the way they have it, aren't be playing a fast competition, but I was to say, that's what they're hoping for, is for Tobacco Punch to walk in and just get obliterated like that, and now both tanks are already taken care of.
Yeah, Power paying the same price, though, is going to put a bit of a damper on things. It is just 4 squishies, 4 squishies on each side against each other here as they wrap around the high ground. There is that point contest happening here. Bliss Excelsior is the first ones to claim the objective. Shadow on the low ground trying to spot out the enemy Tracer, but I think you can just hear Choreo at the edge of your hearing on that high ground rolling around. Tanks are back in the fight here, so Tobacco Punch trying to find a nice squishy target to dump all that damage directly onto. But yeah, it is Percy finding the first kill here. Choreo being found out and Power cleaning up Phantom. Still 2 kills coming here for Zero Recall, so this fight is very much still anyone's game. Mio eats a bunch of damage here. Power in close range and Shadow to clean up is exactly what you need for Bliss Excelsior. But Tobacco Punch still here. This Mauga cannot be counted out as long as these cooldowns are online, and it is Power who's going to bite the dust. This might be just the opening Zero Recall need.
Yeah, that's going to be Dusted Fight, be able to get it to like 72%, which is still really good overall. You're going to have a Pulse Bomb around the corner. Zero Recall is still really far away from anything, but Percy is going to be taken down pretty late as well, so Bliss Excelsior got to take their sweet time resetting. And Rags, this is really going to be a contest of who gets to these big ultimates first and foremost. If you're able to not get taken out, Choreo, that'd be really nice. Unfortunately, that is going to swing the door wide open here as they're just taking them from all sides now.
Yeah, say goodbye to neutral fights. We are now entering the ultimate game as Shadow has the Pulse Bomb, does not land the stick, but does force out a bit of positioning from the backline. Phantom and Vega both very low on health, have to play carefully, get healed up, and also building up towards those ults, but Vega taken down by Tark from range. That Iyari paying dividends here for the side of Bliss Excelsior. That retake before the fight is well and truly over is massive, positioning very much in Bliss Excelsior's favor as you're going to have a full suite of 4 ults ready to go. Zero Recall have 5, but I don't even know if there's going to be a recontest.
I mean, that's the unfortunate scenario is there's not going to be a recontestation, not realistically. I think if Tobacco Punch dies on that point, it gives Choreo the time to pick a safer route and go around. Unfortunately, goes for the kill. Doesn't work out all that well, but we're heading over to our next spot right now where Excelsior are going to get there much earlier. Alt Bank is, while not entirely in their favor, the beat can be expected at any time to shut down pretty much anything that Excelsior throws at them. Vega is still going to have to time this correctly and get in there as Nano directly onto Mio.
That is a nano clock rolling through on top of the sound barrier along with everything else here. 2 kills already for that Sojourn, but 2 answered. Percy is not done and of course has not had to use any of these ultimates just yet here, or rather for the DPS ultimate. Both support ults very much expended in this engagement here. Power as well. Not a ton of value being gained at the moment here as Tobacco Punch lands directly on top of Percy, finishes off that Cassidy, holds on to that Deadeye for this next engagement. It is first control Refinery going the way of Zero Recall.
Another risky kind of example of Tobacco Punch's style and how they're all or nothing on that. You pursue Percy. Luckily, nobody around the corner to be able to help out. Percy goes down as a result. Things collapse from there. But now Power has decided, hey, experiment's done. We thought Jurgen Queen would work. Unfortunately, the ult did not get what we were hoping for. So now we're back to the Malga v Malga that went so much into Excelsior's favor earlier on. But with Stick coming out here, Percy is one. Goes down.
I can't believe Percy's able to survive through the pulse bomb. Does get finished off, but Shadow answering back. Arguably more valuable kill onto your prime source of healing, but not at all a bother for Tobacco Punch, who, as long as that Malga's got the cooldowns, but unfortunately Power once again back on a Malga of his own. If you can't beat him, join him in the cage match, and it is going to be a finish off. So Phantom back in this fight is able to get that kill onto Power. This might be just enough to allow Zero Recall to sustain further in this fight. The venture out from Percy, just trying to get this recontest, trying to get some damage through. Chip damage coming through. Phantom is at a single tick of health, just getting healed up at the last minute here. And despite the overtime being triggered, I don't know if the rest of Bliss Excelsior are in a good spot to recontest. They are not. I mean, this is going to be some massive stagger kills coming out here for Zero Recall. As Bliss Excelsior, I don't think they had the positioning to make that contest. They might have overinvested here.
I think they did a pretty fair amount, honestly. Of course, it was the fight before to try to do so. I don't blame them necessarily, but it's not the mistakes that I tend to see out of Bliss Excelsior. But now Zero Recall, they have the ult economy firmly in their hands. You have a couple of options going into this. The one thing you don't want to do is have to use 3 or 4 of these ultimates just to take over. I think if you just go in and you decide to find the stick, maybe follow up with a cage fight or the overclock, I think it could work out brilliantly. But for Bliss Excelsior, they're going to go all out here in a minute and force as much as possible.
Yep, 2 spent already. The pulse bomb in tandem with the cage match is enough to lock up Power, and that is the kill confirmed by Mio. Choreo able to find out Percy as well, and yeah, so despite spending just 2 ultimates, that is excellent restraint here from Zero Recall. They will take first control of the Ducks, whereas Bliss Excelsior, they're coming up on a full slate, but they have to make the aggressive play here.
Yeah, but Bliss Excelsior now is coming up to all 5 of their own, so you're not mad at all for that first fight right there. You got 2 out instantly. That means you get a quick reset as well, so instead of having a fight with it being like 50% on the board, they're coming up with only 30 on the board, so they will have a 2-fight potential here, as Power is going to try to take over this high ground, getting burnt away very quickly, as Mio and Phantom, by the way, very smartly staying completely in cover.
Yeah, Power diving through onto that back line, the sound barrier. They're taking no risk whatsoever. Tidal Blast, though, onto the Malga is a devastating sight coming towards you. But Mio benefiting from that nano into the overclock. The point was flipped during that engagement, but that is a Pyrrhic victory at best. Just double digits percentage being taken here. Only Percy left alive. Incredible sleep as well. Goes a bit wide, but finally the venture cleaned up. That is 23% gained here, so not nothing, but still only 1 more fight left here for Bliss Excelsior coming back in.
Yeah, I mean, that 23% literally is an extra fight. If that point never flips, we're already moving on to the next one. It's 2-1, Zero Recall. And now, it might be 2-1 for Excelsior. They take down Phantom early, and now they can just go all-out aggression.
Power gets stunned up for a few moments, but that is all it's going to be as the rest of the team rolling forward here. Tectonic Shock cleans up to pack a punch. That is exactly the investment you want to work with. Only 1 spent here. That is kind of crucial in this fight. You do not want to over-invest, and that was really solid usage of ult. Really good positioning there from Bliss Excelsior.
You're still going to have Tark ready with this Captive Sun around the corner, and you don't have a cleanse, so if people get hit with that, there's not a whole lot you can actually do about that. It's going to come down to Tobacco Punch to live, as Captive Sun does go through, needs to connect.
Yeah, Tobacco Punch stunned up, though, eating so much damage on the approach, and eventually gets taken down on the back of that Captive Sun damage. Takes Phantom as well. Another fight here, cleanly taken for Bliss Excelsior. That is a good economy being gained, and this is going to be tough to even touch for Zero Recall.
Oh, they have the touch, though. Choreo's hanging out in that bottom left area. They're going to be able to re-engage in time. Overtime touch will come through momentarily. Now it's going to be a 1v1 over on the point. Corio just needs to survive a little while longer, and we'll get one more fight underway.
There it is, cage match out from Tobacco Punch, however, is spending this entire time below half health. That anti-nade is clinical out from Phantom, does fall for his trouble, but the rest of the team is there to clean up the rest of those kills. However, as long as Shadow's alive, you still have to be very concerned. The DPS still want to claim this point here for Bliss Excelsior, but they will not be enough. That is the second point going the way of Zero Recall. They find themselves at map point here. Bliss Excelsior desperately need to take this next one if they want to force a fifth and final point.
Yeah, 100%, and they have some good tools to do it coming up here slowly, but Zero Recall is something that has this alt bank already well established. Double support ultimates. You have the Pulse Bomb that can shut things down very early on, and you don't have anything like a Cleanse available, or even the Tidal Wave for that matter, so you can't have anybody really survive it if they do get hit. So still need to pick a smart target here, as right now it's a Malga v Malga, as everyone else is currently playing footsie with Shadow on the outside, as eventually will come together, and Zero Recall, I imagine, is going to be very aggressive here momentarily.
Percy builds that Titanic Shock, immediately lets through so much damage, but the backline has been obliterated. Corio had that Pulse Bomb and clinical application. No chance for a cleanse. You called it out. Really nothing at all you can do in the face of a perfect stick coming there from the Tracer on the side of Zero Recall. So despite the attempts in the front line from Bliss Excelsior, without the healing, without the sustain, not much you can do in a longer engagement here.
Yeah, not particularly, unfortunately, but Percy does take a bit of a later death in that fight, so Zero Recall is going to have a little bit more room to breathe. Again, you still have double support ultimates, which means Empower eventually lets this cage loose. I mean, Vega's instant reaction just going to be the beat inside of it, and honestly, you're kind of hoping you get it out so that you can just take care of business.
Pulse Bomb just barely grazes Phantom there. Just had to look down for a brief second. Losing power immediately. I mean, that is a devastating start to this fight here. Shadow has that blast rolling through, but getting that kill into Corio is a good start to things. Again, though, you're without your tank for a few more seconds here. Losing Phantom, though, is, again, it's a solid inroad, but as long as Tupaka Punch is still in these fights, there is just so much pressure to dislodge from the objective here. Vega with that beat is a solid start here, but that wears off fairly quickly in the face of this incredible damage coming out here from Power. Very nice target selection out here from the Malga Bliss Excelsior, and not a moment too soon, as with 84%, the point will flip in favor of Bliss Excelsior. They will start ticking up some progress of their own, though crucially, very much down in ult economy.
Yeah, that could be a critical call using that beat early. I mean, I kept screaming like, oh, Vega's going to have the instant solution whenever Power goes aggressive, and unfortunately, that tool's gone. Power instantly decided, all right, bet, I'll take that. Unfortunately for Corio, the only thing they're taking is a drift back to the respawn, as now 40% and counting. Zero Recall's gotta kind of hit a little mini reset here.
Shadow gets a stick, fantastically done onto Mio. Cleaning up, solid work here from the offense. Percy gets 3 final blows in that one, and Power cleaning up Phantom is a team kill for Bliss Excelsior. Zero Recall coming to this one with 4 ults. But a brief pause here, folks, as we take the engagement a little bit slower here coming into this next. And again, if they're not too careful here, Bliss Excelsior find themselves on the back foot. This could be final fight of the map, but they put themselves in a good spot here defending this objective.
Yeah, they're in a really good spot. Now, obviously, ult economy, not the best in the world, but I mean, you're going to have that Tectonic around the corner. Captive Sun is there as well. And again, you don't have that cleanse, and it got pretty good value last time. The only thing that you can say is that the Nano is available for Phantom on the side of Zero Recall, so there is a solution in case, hey, I really need this person to stay up during this fight, and that person very well might be Mio. That overclock is available. We've seen, again, a lot of value, especially last time, got rid of 3 or 4 people during that, so it's really critical that you go into this, despite this, you know, pretty much, you win this fight, you win this map. That is the situation for Zero Recall. You still need to go in and use these ults precisely. You can't just dump 3 or 4 at the same time and hope that's going to win you the fight.
Yeah, these nanos so commonly spent on to Mio. Those overclocks just getting so much work done. Don't even need headshots with those rail guns with the benefit of that incredible damage boost coming through. So it really feels like they've got a very set game plan in terms of their fight wins here. When it devolves into these scrappier, more chaotic situations is kind of when you do have you've got Bliss Excelsior really finding themselves the win here. Zero Recall kind of lose sight of things the messier these engagements get. But again, they have so much of an advantage coming in this next fight here. 4 ult to Bliss Excelsior's 2 in this one as we kick things off here. Percy hoping to find an early tectonic shock, maybe to just find out 1 or 2 members of that backline would just be absolutely massive here. Vega does take some damage. That's a pulse bomb out, but no value gained from it. Essentially, no one taking any damage here. That overclock rolling from Nano, Nano as well onto Mio, and that is the convert. The kills come rolling through the feed as you get 2 bodies off the point there. Ikbin falling down as well. Percy, I mean, just finds the single one. Mio taken down, but it's too little too late here, as losing the objective at 90% means there is very little chance at even getting a touch here. That Captive Sun to try and get some flight distance, but it is not meant to be. You drop it onto the objective, 100% ticks up. Zero Recall have stayed their execution going, taking the map rather. 1 here, and they go up and they go, oh my goodness, my mouth is just not working with me here. They are not done in this series. They get a single map under their belt, and we are moving on to a 4th map.
Yeah, this is exactly what Zero Recall needed to do. They needed to find themselves right here, and I think this is 100% what they did. I think the adjustment, Mio able to go back over on the Sojourn, worked out brilliantly. I think Phantom back over on the Sana, you wouldn't expect it to work as well as it did, but I think it was brilliant. But what I think Zero Recall did more than anything that they got better at, it was learning how to manage a lot of these fights. To pack a punch in the Zero Recall squad, it was about, hey, let's go in. We take the aggression. We are pushing in first and foremost, and we're going to burn them away. It's not always that simple in the Mago composition, though. You would figure it would be, but you don't have something like the cleanse from a Kiriko or immortality, you know, from your Baptiste. It's not that simple to keep your Malga alive once those cooldowns run out. Honestly, these nades right here, this is what wins in this fight. Power can't heal off of their cooldowns. They eventually get burnt down, and having that tank favor just works out so brilliantly for Zero Recall. Of course, the beat right there does kind of delay the inevitable right there, but eventually you see them come back together. They hit the ults the way they needed to. It worked out brilliantly for them, and for the first time in this series, Zero Recall getting a real 1-up on Excelsior.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of questioned Phantom's choice out the gate here on the Ana, but it turns out they had the read of the Tea Leaves. He knew exactly what they were hoping to run into here. If you're going to run into that Malgam Mirror, you want to be the one with that anti-nade. And there was just so little that the other side could do. Bliss Excelsior really had no answer to those massive bio-nades being laid on. Again, that backline they're running, a bit greedy, all things considered there. There's a lot of damage potential and a lot of utility, but not a lot of sustain in terms of keeping yourselves alive when things get a little haywire around these objectives. And we really saw the benefit coming through, being able to speed everyone around with that Lucio here for Zero Recall, in addition to having both the nano capacity, which Mio received essentially every single time there, and getting tons of value, almost always 2 kills minimum on the back of those nano clocks. As well as providing incredible sleep and bionade potential there. Yeah, tons of value being gained from that Ana. Really the saving grace of that team. Everyone else played very well, played up to par. But I think that hero choice was kind of what sealed the deal for them here.
I think 100% it is as well. And you wonder what the response is going to be from Bliss Excelsior in this situation right here. Because remember something very, very important here. When this got banned before, the Sojourn was banned previously. If my memory is to be believed correct, it was Zero Recall that banned that out over on Gibraltar. So that is still a viable ban right now for Excelsior. They decided, hey, we think Mio is the biggest player right now. We're going to shut him down and try to force him over to something different, because Sojourn really has been the best character for Mio in the series. And the way that the bans have kind of gone through, I like what they're doing here. But I think Bliss Excelsior, I don't want to say it's the obvious pick, but it does seem like the most likely outcome.
It feels like an obvious pick. I fully agree with that there. Mio getting so much value done. Of course, you know, not using one of your own. You're really favoring Percy in that case on that venture. I've loved getting to see, you know, Percy running through these hero choices all the way through this entire series here. That Tracer, of course, doing so much work, and you really have this incredible duel between Choreo and Shadow. I've loved to get to see that develop throughout the course of this series here. But the map choice is going to decide a little bit of what we're going to be running here. And folks, it is going to be King's Row, tried and true here for our hybrid map. This is Bliss Excelsior's choice. So this is their first in the meat of the series here, getting the chance to decide where they take us. So here is where they want to make again. They want to clean this one up. It is still 2-1. They still are at match point, one map, and it is all over here. Zero Recall are the ones, again, some pressure alleviated, but still so much still upon them here. They need to take this to a map 5. They need to win another map here. Bliss Excelsior just want to shut this down here and now. They do not want to allow Zero Recall to gain ahead of steam.
Not. You do not. It'll be really difficult to deal with, but for Bliss Excelsior, they need to come out here and get the correct ban here. I think there's realistically two really good bans here. One, the Sojourn, the other being the Ana. I think between Mio and Phantom, those are the two that were doing a lot in these situations. Mauga, I guess, is viable as well, because you kind of saw the Mauga 1v1 start to go towards the way of Zero Recall as the series has kind of been progressing. So if it was any of those three, wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. And in fact, it is going to be the Mauga being shot down, the Mirror no longer.
Yeah, certainly one of those three. I mean, I agree. I think Ana would probably be your most likely, especially considering the history of King's Row. Ana really loves to play on these crazy long sight lines, find these high ground perches, both on offense, but especially on defense. But getting the Mauga out of the way does mean that you have a lot more tools to work with yourself. You don't have to be worried about this Mirror, which, again, you've won once but lost once here. Zero Recall, I think, making a wise ban onto the Sombra. Again, such an Achilles heel on Gibraltar. So much work being done by Percy previously in the series here. So I think solid bans from both teams. I think they both have a good read on their opposition here. I agree. They each had a good roster of like 3 heroes they could have banned from their opponents. So this should narrow things down quite a bit as we head into King's Row here. What a classic, what a tried and tested map. Rush Brawl is the name of the game here for the most part, historically speaking, but we've seen some stranger plays. Again, D.Va has been finding a lot of play here, especially when you're looking at the first and third points where there's plenty of high ground potential here. Streets Phase, she does not quite find nearly as much value. Ramatra is on the table. Of course, you could run that Orisa. She's been a little bit out of favor of late here, but even that Hazard, which, again, dive brawl, this is kind of a good place to really utilize most of his strengths. But we're looking at Ram alongside the Reaper on the defense.
This, this goes into what they kind of were trying to play earlier that I think was working very well initially. But I think Percy being over on this Reaper, it's going to allow for a little bit more of a punish onto Pack-a-Punch. Again, remember, the one thing that Zero Recall didn't have to do as much on that Flash one because of how well things were going for them was have to attack points that were being defended. We saw that as a weakness before on Gibraltar. We're to see whether or not it's going to be a weakness here for them in this situation. I think with what they have right now, Phantom Vega, who have been popping off ever since then, I think they could have a big advantage here, but they have to be very careful walking to a Ramatra Reaper combo.
Yeah, remembering all the way back to Lijiang Tower, power rolled out here on this Ramatra very first thing before swapping to the Mauga Mirror. So this is clearly a composition and a particular tank choice they've wanted to run all series long here. Bliss Excelsior finding themselves right now compositionally in a pretty comfy spot. So finding an early kill onto Choreo is also going to allow you plenty of latitude, burning essentially a good 30 seconds off the clock here. Choreo back on the Pharah. All right, bit of taste of Bliss Excelsior's own medicine here. I like this pick. There's not a lot apart from maybe the Iyari that can really answer this, but if Choreo's playing so close to the ground, it's not really going to matter here. And of course, that Ravenous Vortex from the Ramatra can in a pinch. Oh my god, that was a disgusting shot from Mio. Percy didn't even know what hit him.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just a little bit too focused there from Vega, so things do even back out, but it is going to take a moment here to to get Percy back into the fight. So you'd figure if you're Zero Recall, you want to be more aggressive, and Vega's going to decide, hey, the experiment's over. Let's go back to the tried and true Lucio. Try to basically do what we did previously that worked so expertly for them before. As for the time being, they're waiting for the right moment to come in, and Pack-a-Punch needs to eventually start trucking forward.
Yeah, your Moga and Ana will certainly thank you as Phantom builds up towards this Nano already. Pack-a-Punch eating so much damage, might be the beneficiary of this Nano, but Choreo already getting out Percy, who again, just really can't do much to answer to this far in the skies, and Pack-a-Punch cleaning up Tark. That is a solid sleep onto that Ramatra power, facing so much scrutiny from all angles here. Bliss Excelsior. Yeah, once this defense crumbles, it just falls all the way away here. This is going to be a full take in one go, essentially, minus the first 2 minutes, of course, here from Zero Recall.
Okay, exactly what you want at the end of the day. This is a brilliant start here thus far for Zero Recall. Plenty of time on the clock here as well. The one thing I will say, though, is with Mio going down, Bliss Excelsior is going to be in brilliant territory to kind of settle on this archway, and we know, Bryce, how difficult it can be to deal with this archway, to break your way through, especially the ults that you have right now, because Sights and Barrage, they're great, but this is not usually the place where they get the most utility in the world. It's going to be on the back of Pack-a-Punch to get the right targets and pray that someone like that Choreo or Mio can follow up on them.
Absolutely right, and that's another Bionade out from Phantom. Been so solid with these all series long, but no one really locked up here on the side of Bliss Excelsior. That downpour not finding a ton of value at all. Captive Sun in a small enclosed room. That is guaranteed kills onto Vega and Choreo. Pack-a-Punch also falling, going the way of the dinosaurs there, as Mio is still able to get Tark at the very end of this engagement here. It's not a clean victory for Bliss Excelsior, but it is a victory nonetheless. This barrage from Choreo trying to find some value, but with the mobility out from Bliss Excelsior, you're really kind of just looking for power here.
Yeah, you 100% are, and because you're missing people still, you have to pretty much give that up entirely. Percy is in the middle of no man's land, by the way. Solo barrage thrown in, tidal wave activated to keep them up. In fact, everything being thrown in here to keep power alive.
Yeah, Annihilation rolling, and again, locked in a small location. It's another one of those ultimates that you don't want to see, but they're able to wait it out, just kite around those door frames there, but Percy and Nick Bin are the ones getting so much work done here. Occupied with the opponent tank, Zero Recall falling down before the back line, and those more mobile targets there, where Power is just able to hold that front line a bit more effectively. Mio still getting so much work done. You can really not count this player out at any stage of these fights. Even when they are losing, Mio is still finding these picks, whether it's on the Sojourn or on this Widowmaker pick, as we've seen all series long. But both support ults in here for Zero Recall might be enough to push them over the line.
Yeah, it just might. This has been a good display for Zero Recall. They get a ton of ultimates out of Bliss Excelsior. Now the last one's out as they go for the copy, and Percy should be able to get a down bite here momentarily.
The beat out from Vega, but still everybody's so low. Mio falls with that Imprecite ready to go as the downpour, the copy from Percy is able to get the better of Phantom. So this Hazard copy getting so much work done here for Bliss Excelsior. However, still plenty of damage falling onto the heads of the remaining members. Power falling down, eventually swaps over now to the Diva once again. So Shadow here on this Tracer is looking to find some back roads, some back angles to take out, put some pressure on Mio especially.
Yeah, Percy close to going down again, manages to get out just in time. I like Power being back over on this Diva now as downpour activated. Doesn't find a whole lot of recipients, but Percy is pushed away. Will be able to barely get out alive here as Nano onto Vega.
I mean, that is the Busio rolling here on the objective. Falls to the sticky bombs out from Percy. Whether intended or not, it's a lovely sight to see, but perhaps not a lovely sight for Zero Recall, as it does not win them that fight, all things considered.
And you're going to see Choreo barely die. My god, that is a very late death. The bright side is your Tracer, so Zero Recall, they can move forward like they normally would. But now you're on the very wrong side of the ult economy. You used so much during that previous fight. You are nowhere close. And if Excelsior play the way they have played some of their ults so far in this series, you could go just 2-2 in these next two fights and end things potentially right here and now, because there's not a whole lot you can do in opposition if you're Zero Recall unless Choreo manages to get the stick over onto someone really important like that.
And just as you call it, but Shadow, not to be outdone, gets stick onto Phantom, who has switched over to that Brig. Vega falling to the sticky bombs as well. Supportless are the side of Zero Recall on their offense here. We're down to 40 seconds Mio crucially has swapped over to this Ashe, trying to find a bit of a closer range, but still, the setup is going to be lacking when you're playing into this final corner, and just so close to the cap, but still, you have 30 seconds left with very little to work with ult-wise.
Yeah, and this is pretty much going to be on the ideology of being able to pick somebody off early, like you did before. Unfortunately, it was Shadow kind of replicating the same success that Choreo was able to give right now. Power's really far up, like really far up for somebody that did not have the self-destruct yet, so this could be very critical. This copy needs to be massive from Percy, who's trying to burn away to Pack-a-Punch. Gonna have to copy on the break.
Yeah, not able to get it, unfortunately, and with that sound barrier, that might be just the thing to force them into the end of point B here. Losing their tanks so early in this fight, so far forward, you called it out, Entertain. Not able to get back to the cart in time or support the rest of the team at all. And with that, yeah, the payload unstopped once they touched is rolling through point B. Gets that additional 1 minute 30 as we're into point C territory. Bliss Excelsior might be kicking themselves on the last extension of this point.
Yeah, I definitely would be too, and now Percy's over on the Bastion here. I mean, we saw this earlier on display. It didn't work all that well back on Gibraltar, but to be fair, it was a Bastion on Gibraltar, so I guess, you know, take it with a grain of salt. At the same time, though, Shadow has been really clean with the Pulse Bombs, decided, you know what, not the time right now. We're going to wait for the next one, try to find something differently, but Zero Recall has a ton of ult here, Rag. It is all about how they use it, and honestly, I wouldn't mind if Bob got thrown in there first.
No, absolutely. Whether it's backline contest or the cart itself, Bob goes all the way in, meets that grenade though, as Mio does fall down the stick out from Choreo. I mean, sitting duck is a Bastion on the high ground there. The Bob does confirm a kill, so Ikbin falling down and spending a bunch of ults in that fight is just enough. We only have the downpour left to utilize, but they're so close to full capping here that if we don't see a solid contest out from Bliss Excelsior, this could be it. It could all be over and done with. Downpour onto the objective, locks up two. That is exactly who you need, Gained. I mean, Pack-a-Punch could not have timed it out more effectively. Bliss Excelsior taken fully by surprise, or maybe they just knew what was coming, and it's a pure dead-end shuffle to the cart as their contest just dwindles away. The time bank falls apart into an overtime wick, burning down Zero Recall. Despite it being with no time left, they do full cap. I mean, losing that point B, you're really gonna be feeling it here for the side of Bliss Excelsior.
Yeah, and I mean, your one little crux that you do have standing by is the fact that you did manage to force the overtime, but again, I mean, you saw how much Mio was able to do this entire series on the Widow, which, to be fair, it's not easy to make that Widow work beyond point 1. And somehow, it just continued to work out. They continued to push their way forward. I think Tark, honestly, might have been the MVP overall. On Excelsior's side, getting so much value out of these captive summons consistently so. The Boostio, obviously, on full display right there. But once you saw Zero Recall really put their foot on the pedal, they didn't take it off. They trucked on through. They finished it out in overtime, and now their fate is securely in their own hands right now.
Yeah, clinical downpour there at the very end. And of course, for Bliss Excelsior, what can you do but touch the cart? What can you do but walk into an ult you know is going to be aimed directly at whoever gets themselves there to contest the payload? So, incredible stuff out here for Zero Recall. Really solid offense all the way through. You know, from that initial take, they made some adjustments on their initial push. I think it was a really good really impressive amount of pressure being put through by Mio, whether on that Widowmaker or later on that Ashe, and of course that Bob at the very end did get plenty of work done, so has to be said that it's an unorthodox composition here, but it's worked well for them so far here. Pack-a-Punch here on this Hazard, I think, has been the linchpin of this comp on King's Row so far, really able to lead the charge and deliver, you know, whether it's the Nano, whether it is on some of these maps here, it's been the Tidal Blast, whatever you need to send directly into your opponent's waiting arms. Power on this Orisa for the offense here, so that is essentially trying to hard deal with this Hazard out from Pack-a-Punch, and you'll see, taking a bunch of damage, has to play a bit more carefully here as Choreo just able to get healed up, but Mio finding the better of Shadow here, who now is crucially not on that Tracer, but instead that Sojourn pick. Percy gets a kill, but losing your tank is going to be the death knell for this fight here. No progress gained so far for Bliss Excelsior's offense.
Yeah, none so far. I like the Orisa, though, for the moment, though. I think it can just be a lot of sustained. Pack-a-Punch, though, gets rid of Ichiman. You see Mio is just going for the chase. Realistically, it's just going to have to try to corner Percy, which it looks like that might end up being the situation. But you see, everybody is chasing Percy, so now you're going to see Excelsior start to move up a little bit, but it looks like they're going to back off of that ideology, realizing that, hey, we kind of need Percy to do what we want to do here.
Yeah, and of course it is Corey who can get back into the fight in no time whatsoever. Ooh. And Mio, who you just have to assume is always at an angle here, but Shadow getting early kill on the Phantom. That is a massive start here for Bliss Excelsior. They've got the runway to work with, but Mio is still a danger, a clear and present threat if ever there's been one. Tark very much playing for his life on the objective. Has to be so cautious, so careful, as long as his infra sights are rolling for a few moments longer here. You're in such a tough spot! Shadow falls down! I mean, so much work, so much value being gained from this Widow. However, what you cannot do is pressure the objective, but crucially you've got Pack-a-Punch back in the fight for this one. Percy cleans up with that focusing beam, and that is a massive Terra Surge. What can Vega do but hold the point? But in the face of that damage, which does not care about your paper-thin shield, yeah, that is going to be a cleanup onto the back line, and Percy is just cleaning up the remaining members of the squad. Zero Recall fall down before this good adaptation coming out from Bliss Excelsior.
Yeah, it's a good adaptation. Most of the players as well get the bad respawns way all the way back on third point. Pulse Bomb goes for a friendly hello hi visit. Unfortunately, nobody waves back. But Choreo also goes down late, so Zero Recall, they can't take a proper fight until probably like almost halfway through the second point, and that is devastating to have to give up archways like that, but you have to get back into this one. I imagine just give a nano to Pack-a-Punch and try to let them go absolutely wild in this back line, because they got away with a lot earlier. They have the potential to do it right now, but they have to stop this train from moving before it gets too far.
Yeah, Bliss Excelsior very much want to build momentum here. Mio, yeah, Shadow playing close to the fire, knows exactly how dangerous that's going to be. There's the nano rolling on to Pack-a-Punch, who's still, again, below half health for much of this fight. And it's Tark and Nick Bin cleaning up Mio and Vega there. That is such a strong opening for Bliss Excelsior. They bend before the might of that nano, but do not break. And it is the backline once again, proving to be so lethal for Bliss Excelsior. Once again, this combo of the Iari Wuyong, just so devastating if you let him get up and running. Tark, once again, yeah, is not done getting kills by any means.
Yeah, and with Choreo going down, I mean, you could try to retouch here, but honestly, I never want to say give up on a point, but this is a very risky touch if Zero Recall decide to go for it right here. Eventually, gonna see a downpour. Does catch some bodies, though. Percy, though, is still hanging around. They need to bounce back.
Gotta count some value there. Shadow gets locked up and immediately blasted down by a rail shot, but Percy able to focusing fire on the Pack-a-Punch. Does pay for it with his life, though, so still very much in favor of the defense here. Power with that Terra Surge, however, is turning the fight, turning the tide of this engagement. A 4K for the Orisa. Slow down there. The Battle Cattle in full effect, and we're rolling into this with nearly 4 minutes, pushing into point C.
Yeah, now Percy's going to move over to that Widowmaker instead, actually just come out for the Cassidy. Percy has probably played like half the roster at this stage of the game so far. Good on them. But either way, Zero Recall, they need to stop this. They're 3.5 minutes in. At the very least, you need to get this clock under a minute if you want any hopes of winning this map properly. And for the time being, Pulse Bomb is available. Choreo needs to catch on to somebody like Percy or Shadow to really try to shut this push down.
Counting on Mio building up to this overclock here and finding some value, but Shadow has it ready to go first. Well, however, that's another fight where Shadow falls first, so not going to get a chance to spend that crucial ultimate from that high ground position you're expecting to find yourself in. But Bliss Excelsior not done fighting this one yet. They might have to be at this point, though, as Percy does get Mio a spot. That opposing Sojourn out does pay for it with his life. So Choreo, with this Pulse Bomb, able to hold on to it for another fight here. Power is trying to maintain a bunch of cart presence here, but this is kind of where that Orisa is just having a ton of difficulty facing so much damage from all these angles here, whether high ground or low or angles or even from behind the tank here on the side of Bliss Excelsior. As Zero Recall are very much playing these hit and run tactics. Only Pack-a-Punch has to really play on the cart itself. The Captive Son out from Tark is not able to find much while he lives, but posthumously gets the better of Mio, and Choreo falling down as well. That is so much frontline pressure completely gone on the side of Zero Recall. The nano onto the hazard, and the Deadeye is trying to find the damage. Percy able to stay alive through all of that. Pack-a-Punch would have dearly loved to clean up that Cassidy, but it is not meant to be. Vega taking a bunch of tick damage here as the pylon falls. Phantom so low, gets taken down, cleaned up by Power. The overclock, however, from Mio. They are not done fighting this one just yet. The Terra Surge on the objective. The Golden Box of Victory is in sight as the cart rolls. Mio is trying to fight the backline single-handedly, but there's just too many members of Bliss Excelsior alive. Losing Power might be a stall to their push, but everyone else is alive and kicking on the point here. Nice anti-nade, though, is able to halt things for a few moments longer. It's just the backline here alive on the objective itself. Vega gets taken down as Tark. We are brawling out between DPS and supports. Bliss Excelsior just trying to fight this one out, just trying to find the push. They get the kills, they get the boops. Will it be enough to land and get some time in the bank for their push? It looks like it just might be. They need to take care of these spawns, though. They're coming back so fast at such a repeated pace. One by one by one, they have to blast them down. Choreo falls. That's got to be a halt to things here. The defense has to be done. I have to be through talking with 1:10 of the time bank. Bliss Excelsior will cap. Oh boy, it wasn't pretty, but they got there in the end.
Yeah, I think they're that's unfortunate. You hold on for an extra 10 seconds, and suddenly this is a winnable map, and now you have to hold on for 2 or 3 fights to even tie and try to extend the series, and it's a really rough spot to be in right now. Unfortunately, it is on the back of those first 2 points where they essentially kind of just fall over. They start to come back a little bit in the situation, but this stall started to fall apart. They did a really good job at the stall, honestly, taking a bunch of time off, but that 10 seconds literally could be the difference between moving on and being eliminated here and now.
Yeah, I mean, really solid recontests coming through from Bliss Excelsior on their offense. That Wrecking Ball was just able to stay alive the entire time. Did not fall when Power swapped over to that just to make that stall potential. Of course, getting back to the point fast, but also just able to spin to win whenever you need it. Able to clean up those kills at the very end of that fight. The recontests were insane. Zero Recall was just cascading over the objective there. I kind of thought they were going to be able to hold forever at that point, especially with as fast as Choreo gets back into these fights, but not able to. And like you said, I mean, that 10 seconds could be the difference between a victory here or a loss, losing your season, or at the very least, forcing an additional map in this series. Even if you full hold, we still have to go again. It is going to be the Freya. They want this burst kills more than anything for Bliss Excelsior.
100%. Mio's biggest thing is staying alive. Mio has been so critical the entire series. But remember, you can't give up a single tick anymore. I think Power being off on the Diva is a very interesting choice, though. I don't know if it'll work out, but obviously, we're 45 seconds away from finding out if that's going to be the case or not. It's just going to take one potential pick, Rags, for this thing to tumble down that quickly, as Percy is going to get taken down by Choreo.
Yeah, Percy head on a swivel, but not able to keep up with the speed of Choreo running through your backline, so that has got to be this fight done and dusted here. Bliss Excelsior have to fall back. They have to let this one go, or these staggers are going to be devastating. That is the kill that might open things up. Now, if anyone's going to get back to the point in quick fashion, it is going to be Choreo here, but you are down a player, and Bliss Excelsior have the spawn advantage here by far. Trying to find these supports on the high ground. Phantom falling down. Sticky bombs out from Percy, but it is that finish up from Power to really claim things here. You're just trying to find the tank. If you can take Pack-a-Punch down, it is all over here for the defense. Choreo falling down. That's got to be it for the defense. This point is slowly being ticked up here. Pack-a-Punch doing your very best impression of a firm statue on the point, but it is not meant to be. Only one statue stands tall here as Bliss Excelsior roll forward, clean up the extra innings on King's Row, take the map, take the series. They stay alive going to the grand finals, where unfortunately we have to say goodbye to the side of Zero Recall.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really unfortunate what happens there at the very end, being taken out from the Alari, and that's the worst way to get taken out, unfortunately. But we saw a lot of fight back from Zero Recall at a point where it's like, hey, I'm not sure if this is going to be particularly close. They kind of come in and they get a lot of domination in those first 2 maps. You kind of see the display right here. Everything Power is able to try to do here. Zero Recall, they get this burst of something at the very beginning, but they're not able to fully capitalize on it. And for the next map and a half, they kind of stumble around trying to figure out what is the solution we need here. And they did find it, unfortunately. It was a problem of Bliss Excelsior having the answer readily available after that 3rd map.
Yeah, having the answer and, of course, having those initial 2 maps under their belt to work with. That is certainly a large benefit. They were allowed the space to make those mistakes on a Flashpoint, to go down a single map while still being within range of victory there. So despite the heroics, despite so many excellent attempts, I easily could have seen, there easily is a world where this could have gone to 5 maps here, but I do think this had to be Bliss Excelsior's at the very end of the day. You certainly would have loved a few more things to swing the way of Zero Recall, but Bliss Excelsior came out to such a strong start. And again, the heroics out from Zero Recall really put the screws to Bliss Excelsior. They had to come up with answers here in a way that they were not at all pressured to do so in the first 2 maps. So that initial push, getting to that 3rd point, full capping on King's Row is no mean feat. So all credit to Zero Recall's offense, but Bliss Excelsior really finding the value here. They are, of course, our victors. They, of course, are the ones moving on for a rematch in the grand finals. Now that is going to be a tall order if ever there was one.
Yeah, it definitely will be a tall order in this situation, of course. The way this series went down, I mean, Zero Recall did everything they could to try to bounce back from this one. I think they did a brilliant job on these last 2 maps. Unfortunately, Bliss Excelsior, they are that caliber of team, and at this stage of the game, someone might have said before that Excelsior might be the only team that can, go and take down Budget Approved, and now it's looking like they are the only team that has the possibility to do so left. But you saw what Zero Recall was trying to do. I think a lot of their bans were very justified, all things considered as well. They went really heavily after that DPS category, tried to really cut people like Percy out from the knees. Unfortunately, it's just Percy, who was able to swap to like 10 different heroes and do all these different things. It's really difficult to deal with. Even if you have a ban, if you can dictate maps, that kind of flexibility is really hard to deal with.
Yeah, we did get to see so much coming out from the hero pool of specifically Percy. I mean, everyone else, of course, were playing quite a few of their favorite heroes coming out of this here. But just Percy going through multiple picks, and also not the most commonly expected decisions there. We saw a few, the Hanzo, the Bastion floated, and it was that Sombra, who is not perhaps in a particularly strong spot right now, was kind of the key to success to crack things wide open on Gibraltar for the side of Bliss Excelsior. So I really think it was that flexibility, that versatility, and of course getting to run that Ramatra comp on King's Row, which as they hovered on Lijiang Tower, is a comp they've wanted to run all series long. That's clearly a comfort pick for them, clearly where they feel they've got a strong state, a strong position to be had in terms of the meta. So really good play there, really strong work coming out from Bliss Excelsior. I'm excited to see them take on their opposition in the grand finals. I think they could really put solid work to them. But folks, we are going to have an interview coming up in just a few moments, so we're going to take a quick break here, but do not go anywhere. We'll be right back in a few moments with an interview with our victors. Welcome back, folks. It is our winners interview time here. We've got Tarkaelon here from Bliss Excelsior, your victors who are going on to the grand finals here. So, Tark, it was a lot of fun to get to see you guys roll through here. I gotta ask, though, were you a little concerned coming into King's Row, losing Flashpoint? Were you thinking this is going to go to a map 5?
I mean, it was definitely a possibility, although New Junk City has been a bit of a hard point for our team most of the time.
Definitely was, but obviously before you go into those first 2 points, I mean, you do a bang-up job right out the gate there. I mean, we kind of saw a lot of flexibility as well. I mean, I think personally might have played half of the characters in the roster. Was this a situation where you just had a game plan going in, set in place, or did you have to kind of adjust as you went along?
I mean, we just kind of go with the flow usually. The best we do is alt track.
To be fair, very important thing to do at the end of the day. But kind of echoing what Rag said, obviously, the way King's Row goes down ends up being very close overall. Potentially goes to a map 5, but y'all managed to close that out. But obviously, y'all have that DYS budget-approved grand finals to worry about now. Is this going to be the same situation where, hey, again, we just got to go with the flow? Or maybe is there going to be a bit more preparation going into that one?
I mean, we maybe look at their votes a bit, but it's mainly that we need to lock in this time. We were a bit all over the place last time.
Well, just following up on that, do you feel like you were more on your guard this time? Do you feel like you're finally honing in and you can sort of play a bit more focused, have a bit more conscious decisions in terms of it? I mean, Hunter Tay mentioned it, the comp kind of falling all over the place there. Do you feel like you finally got your ducks in a row coming into the grand finals?
I mean, last time it was mainly the issue that I couldn't be there, so we had to put someone on flex support who hadn't quite had the experience on it in this environment, so we were kind of off.
All right, so it sounds like you're the linchpin of this roster. I'm going to hold you to it. But before we let you go, do you have anyone you want to shout out or give thanks to before we send you on your way?
I mean, I'm going to thank Koryo and all of Zero Recall. They've been a wonderful team to face, and Scrim.
No doubt. Yep, fantastic stuff. And gracious even in victory. So thanks so much for joining us, Tark, and good luck in the grand finals.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, folks, that was our winners interview. So it's really good to hear from Tark there, Hunter Tane. I mean, I really hope that they're feeling like at least they've got a level of confidence going into this grand finals, having this win under their belts.
Yeah, definitely hope they do as well. But a team that went in here gave their absolute all in today and fought back Zero Recall. We have Mio and Koryo representing us here today. And hey, at the end of the day, that is a hard-fought battle. Y'all went out there, did everything you could, and honestly, you guys put on an extremely entertaining series.
Thank you so much for the compliments. We tried our absolute hardest in our last series. We wanted to at least take them up. Like, we tried so hard, and we're really glad we took them up. We were all so loud and excited. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, taking that map meant that was the only non-3-0 match in this playoffs bracket right now. So very much kudos to you guys. And of course, coming up to this point from the entire season, do you feel like, this is a pretty comfortable spot to be in, what is essentially, third place? I mean, that's a good spot to be in for y'all.
I think this was a good season for us. It's the first season, it's the rookie season, and I think we performed well. We could probably have performed better, but I'm pretty happy with the match results today. I don't care that we lost. We gave them a fight, and yeah, we had fun. The team had fun.
Definitely seemed like y'all did, but of course, this all being the case, things being said and done, the season is taken care of. Whether for both of you or whether it's just from a team perspective, what's kind of the biggest lesson you kind of take away from the season of CGL?
Definitely the biggest lesson is you have to always be playing your best and always trying to get better and constantly advancing. Because at the start of the season, we kind of just coasted through and not really tried the hardest, and we just kept getting 3-0'd every game. So once we actually started to try and we got some new signings, the results started improving dramatically. So that's definitely the biggest lesson. You can't sleep on anyone. You have to always be prepared.
100% need to in that situation. But obviously, that grand final is still going to go down between Bliss Excelsior and DYS, budget approved. Just based upon what you've been able to experience facing both of these teams, or everything you have been able to witness from them, just your predictions right here and now, who do you think is going to take that win in the grand finals?
I think it's going to be a close one. Budget gave them a hell of a round last game. But I think BX will lock in and at least take 2 maps. So maybe, I don't doubt that BX will win. I don't doubt that Budget will win. But I think 3-2, either way. I think it's going to be a close one.
All right, yeah, and of course, looking forward, I mean, do you really feel like your team is in a good spot? You looking forward to see it next season here for CGL? Or is it going to be kind of figure things out once we get there?
We're in a really good spot. We've got a lot of we know where to improve, and we've got a lot of potential because it's our rookie season. So in our very first season, we got a 3rd place, which isn't terrible. So I feel like we're in a good spot. So if we figure some things out in the off season, we'll be coming back a lot stronger next season.
Yeah, without doubt. You certainly put on a fantastic showing, especially for a rookie season. Now, before we let you go, anyone you want to shout out, anyone you give thanks to before we let you go?
I want to shout out to everyone that voted me for Rookie of the Season, DPS Rookie of the Season. I want to shout out the whole team and BX for scrimming. We've been scrimming against them so much. We've been learning so much from playing against them. And I see them as like a friendly team instead of like an actual team to learn from each other.
Nice. Well, that's fantastic to hear. Oh yeah, of course, go for it.
Oh, sorry. I wanna again shout out BX. They're all our friends. They're all really nice people, and it's great to play them. I want to shout out obviously everyone on my team again because they're just we're such a nice team. We're all best friends, and I want to shout out someone called Lampy. He's like the nicest guy ever, and I think he'll do really well.
Yeah, if he joins us. And
all
also,
right, well, go for it. No, please go for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get a match MVP this game?
From both sides or just overall?
Yeah. Take both teams.
I mean, I know my answer for Zero Recall, but Bliss Excelsior, I need a moment on that one. I do. Does anyone come to mind for you, Rags, on that side of things, or?
It's tough. I think for Bliss Excelsior, I have a hard time picking just one. Honestly, though, for Zero Recall, I've got to give it to Mio for those pop-off moments. Was just honestly incredibly consistent all the way through. Choreo, still so much work to be done. Not at all taking anything away from you, but really solidly done from both of you. Just, you know, finding those very flashy nano clocks. Very solid stuff.
Yeah. I guess if I gave it to someone, it would be Power. I guess Power was very consistent between all the tanks that they chose, and it's that level of consistency that I think really shined. Personally, had a lot of really big moments, but honestly spent a lot of the series kind of finding out what DPS was going to work. As y'all saw, it was kind of like a merry-go-round of DPS choices coming through. So I guess that would be mine over there.
Nice.
All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. And again, sorry we didn't get to see you in the grand finals, but congratulations on a fantastic season. And again, for Rookie 1, incredible stuff. Folks, that is going to be it from us for Zero Recall. But Mio and Choreo, thanks so much, and good luck next season.
Thank you.
There you have it. There you are. But to be fair, I mean, everything considered, from the way that started to the way it ended, that turned into honestly an incredible series. I've managed to see the last couple of series that start really slow, and it's like, this might be one-sided, and then you have that fight back. Zero Recall, I think, who came in here and kind of the way they spoke in here and said, hey, we didn't take it as serious at first, but we locked in at the end there. We started going all in, and it really showed in this matchup. So I think they got absolutely nothing to be ashamed of here. And this Bliss Excelsior squad has their bounce back. They have their spot in the grand finals, and that should be an absolute banger.
Yeah, very excited for both of these teams. But folks, the day's matches are not quite done. There is a bit of a later one coming up much later this evening here in terms of especially East Coast time here. So yeah, don't be fooled. That is Eastern time, 23:15 between Diamond Eagles and Wawa Gaming. So you can take a bit of a couple hours off, have a nice refresh, go for a walk, get a snack, several snacks, a couple meals maybe, and then come back for this match at the very end of the day here. So really looking forward to see these two teams go at it again. But for now, that is going to do it for us here on broadcast. So from Rags, Hunter Tane, everyone on production, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We cannot wait to see, of course, Bliss Excelsior in the grand finals, and can't wait to see all of you later on tonight.
You tryna knock me.